What's up, Royal Gang? It is Friday. It is June. Well, not June, but January 6th. June 6th could have some type of significance to you. This is your full moon in Cancer channel message. So, I have been watching, or rewatching rather, a show from my childhood, which is Sailor Moon. If you would like to rewatch it with me, even though you're going to have to catch up, you can view it on Netflix. Um, so the energy that I got was, um, and these are just some channel messages that I wrote down. The main overall theme from like season one that they had on there, was to basically believe in yourself. Believe in your own magic. Friendship was a big topic. Um, Also, sweetness stuck out to me. So you could be a very sweet person, very friendly, bubbly person. In your friends group, um, you could be the one that pretty much you're the glue. In your friends group, in your family, even you could be the glue. And without you, like things are chaotic. Like nothing is going right. Like you have that juju, that juice that just makes everything okay. Um, so with Sailor Moon, um, obviously the moon was a big theme in the TV show. However, I noticed something about it, even though we're coming up on a full moon. Um, the crescent moon is very significant. So you could have been born on a waning or waxing crescent moon. Um, Go look that up. Like Google it and look it up and see if that has some significance to you. Also, what's jumping out at me right now is the four kings of heaven, but I also thought of the four kings of hell, which made me think of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the reboot from a few years ago. That's also on Netflix, so there may be some connection with that. You could possibly even have four sons or four brothers, possibly even four uncles as well, who may be very protective over you. For some of you, I got the energy that you may be like the only girl in the family, like besides like your mom or your grandma or something like that. But you might be the only girl, and possibly even the youngest as well. Um, You possibly, if you are aligned with the Sailor Moon energy, you could be a what they will label as emotional or highly sensitive. And I feel like you're highly sensitive, not only just emotionally, quote unquote, and I do that with air quotes, um, but also with other people. So you may pick up on people's emotional cues, or you may be able to read body language very well. Very well. Um, you may be able to pick up on other people's energy. Um, Also, you may have a black cat like Luna. Um, the word and the name Luna, which obviously means moon in certain traditions or languages. That could be the name of your cat. That could be your name or an ancestor's name as well. You can have a deep connection with the moon. For some of you, I picked up on Cancer energy with that as well. Others of you, um, could be more similar to like Mars, where she's a psychic. She's a psychic slash medium. She's a warrior, but she's also a high priestess. Crows and sigils and petitions were very significant and jumped out at me. Obviously, Sailor Mars controls fire because Mars is connected with fire's fire element. So obviously I got Aries, Leo, Sagittarius with that. Um, I also noticed too how Sailor Moon met Mercury first, and it's interesting that we have a full moon during Mercury retrograde. So that was interesting to me as well. So there could be a lot of enlightenment that is illuminated, a lot of information because Mercury deals with information and communication. Um, there could be a lot of communication between you and people, whether it's past, present, or these people are meant to be in your future. Um, there could be a lot going on with you. You could be learning more about like technology or taking possibly an online course. I just saw 555 as I saw that too. So that could be a new thing that you're doing is taking an online course, or you could be starting school right now. You could be very much so like Mercury, where you may be on the quote unquote nerdy side, which isn't a bad thing. So, when I just saw 616, so 616 may have significance to you as well. Um, but you are highly intelligent, very articulate. You know how to express your words, express yourself, express your emotions, but you possibly may be shy like Sailor Mercury was. Um, it may take the quote unquote love of friendship, is what I just heard, to open you up first. So you may not be one of those people who, when you meet new people, you immediately open up. It may take you a while for you to open up, but like you might be one of those people that once you open up, there is no shutting you up. Like you might be a quiet person before they get to know you, but after they get to know you, that's a whole different thing. I also picked up on roses, rose petals, love, royalty, and guardianship. Um, it was very significant that Serena, well, as I grew up to know her, her name was Serena, but obviously in this version of the Crystal manga of Sailor Moon, she's Usagi. So I found it interesting. Um, One, the name change, but I also found it interesting that she came from a royal bloodline. So whether you know it or not, spiritually, physically, or both, you may come from a royal bloodline. There may be certain gifts or powers that are only yours and only familiar to your bloodline. Um, I'm hearing because that's just your magic. Um, you may have a connection with the moon and with water, I'm hearing, which is interesting because Mercury, her one of her powers is the use of water. And again, that goes back to the moon and Mercury retrograde thing. Also, I picked up for some of you, you may be a writer of some sort, or have aspirations to be an author or are already currently an author, and you're building, I just heard, your platform. So you may have like an Instagram, a TikTok, your own website, all of the above, a YouTube channel even. For some of you, I just heard that if you are an author, you may need to start a YouTube page where you may read excerpts from your book, and for members only. I just heard Patreon too, so this may work for you if using Patreon as well. I also heard Gumroad. Um, you may make a members only where they actually get to hear maybe a full chapter read of your book, or the entire book. on audio, but that is for members only. Members only would have the access to that and to other little things like meet and greets, things like that. You may have a lot of business ideas or a lot of creative ideas when it comes to your craft flowing to you this month. Especially I'm hearing over the next 7 to 8, maybe even 9 days. I'm seeing 7, 8, 9. So that number and 300 may be significant. Or even three. I just saw 33 as well. And I just saw 1033. Um, your specific genres may cover but may not be limited to, or one of these may be your specific niche. Teen love stories, anime slash manga. You may have multiple, whatever topic or theme you go with, genre you go with, you may have multiple series within, like, under your belt. So okay, so like I mentioned, the teen love series, you may have, let's say, I don't know, a teen werewolf love series. I also heard fan fiction, so you may, like when you were younger, so you may be revisiting things right now that you used to do when you were younger, like a teenager. You may have written like fan love stories, like fandom, um, where you take like real real people, real celebrities, real movies. Even like I remember when I was a teenager, a lot of people would kind of rewrite or expand on like Harry Potter and Twilight. Twilight was like the big thing when I was a teenager. Um, so kind of like things like that, but like now and then, I know even with anime, some people do it with like Naruto and even Sailor Moon. So these may be things that you do. I don't want to necessarily say you will only do like anime, but I have written down here just supernatural things in general. So like vampires, ghosts, hauntings, werewolves, um, even down to like what I do, tarot readers, and I just saw 1230, 123, 0123, and 1234 may be significant as well. Um, so you might have a story about a tarot reader, or a psychic. Um, there may be more like fantasy related novels. So like I don't know, depending on who's listening to this, there was an author back in the day. Well, it's not that too far back in the day, but when I was like in middle school, high school, so that's between 2002 and 2008. There was a black author by the name of Zane, and she used to write very erotic pieces. Um, Addicted was like a huge book of hers that was excellent, excellent. Like y'all, circle the block on her, circle the block on her, circle the block on Zane. For those of you who have cable, and depending on where you are in your age range, you may remember some of her books came to life as soft PORN. Um, so it was, I believe, it was on Showtime or HBO, one of the two. It may still be on air. I haven't looked for it, obviously, but it may still be out there, or you may be able to catch some reruns to see how good her pen is. Go check out her books though. Her books, her books, her books. Yeah, I just go check out Homegirl books. But you may write something like that. It could be very spicy literature. Oh, I like that. Let's call it that. Spicy literature. So it may be like that. You may take your own. I'm hearing for some of you, you may take your own sexual experiences or spicy experiences and put them on paper. For some of you who have a film background, um, you may take it to the big screen. For others of you, your book may actually become a movie. Even though that may not be your intent, it may become a movie or even a stage play for some of you, I'm hearing. Um, for others of you, you may quote unquote, I'm hearing split series, so I don't know if that's the actual term, but so you may work within like two genres. So you may do like adult works, which may be for whatever reason I'm getting supernatural or fantasy. But then you also may do teen works or preteen works that are fantasy, supernatural. Um, for others of you, you may include elemental magic, which is something that I noticed in Sailor Moon as well. Fire, earth, water, air, and the combination of all of them together. Um, Teamwork also jumped out at me when I was watching Sailor Moon. Um, you may have to work more so with spirit this year instead of against spirit with this year. Try to make sure that you're doing your best to actually actively listen to spirit, especially when you are in the presence of spirit, in counsel with spirit. When you're getting divinations for some of you, just because it's not happening right now or hasn't happened right now or within a week or in a month, don't poo poo it or don't throw it off as if, the reader isn't seeing what they're seeing, because you really can talk yourself out of your own blessing. So make sure you don't do that. I'm hearing within this moon cycle. So starting from today, especially, um, for the next 28 days or so, I would say do your absolute best to not speak against your manifestation, speak against yourself, and for that matter, speak against the manifestations of your loved ones, because sometimes we don't realize that we are crushing someone else's dreams. Even though we may love them, we may be crushing their dreams. So for example, your loved one could come to you and say, "Hey, I want to, I don't know, open an apple and oranges store selling nothing but apples and oranges," and you may think it's a terrible idea. Um, but there's a certain lesson or blessing or both that they are um supposed to have with starting that apples and orange store. And with you discouraging them, although there is a lesson in your discouraging or your discouragement, for them, that can still have certain adverse effects, not only on them but on you as well. um because in some ways, and I'm just repeating what I'm hearing from spirit, right, is that in some ways you can end up talking your own self out of your own blessing by trying to talk someone else out of theirs. So just be mindful of that, especially over this. I'm someone is they're really stressing over the next 28 days. Someone really needs to watch their tongue, watch their thoughts, watch what energy you are consuming. um who are you allowing to speak into or over your life? um whose life are you speaking into and over as well, and are you doing it in a um productive or kind, caring, loving way? um Make sure that when you give advice, you are not yourself speaking from fear or trauma. Just because you may not have been successful at this particular thing, or you don't see how this person could be successful at this particular thing, or with this particular person, etc. Now, of course, there are certain parameters there, especially when it comes to relationships, but um, it doesn't mean that theirs won't be successful. Um, Sometimes we have to say our prayers and just give folks to God, and our ancestors to their ancestors as well. Um, and allow things I'm hearing to just flow. Now, for others of you, you may be very much so like Sailor Jupiter. Um, and I got Taurus energy off of her, honestly. Um, Not saying that Cap and Virgo can't rock that energy too, but I got very much so Taurus energy off of her, and I'll say why. Although she is dressed in brown, she gave very much so Amazonian energy. And for those of you who know Dahomey energy, um, she gave a soft strength, if that makes sense. Even though she can come off very tomboyish, her and Ray, which is Sailor Mars. Um, she the influence of pink and green, red and green. I noticed that a lot with Sailor Jupiter, so those could be colors. And for those of you who are of African American descent, you could be an AKA as well, Alpha Kappa Alpha, or be connected with someone in your family who has pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha. Could possibly have an ancestor as well, and I also am picking up on an Eastern star, so it could have been an Eastern star and an Alpha who, well, she could have been an Eastern star and an AKA. This is someone who was coming through who could have been a Taurus. So this could be a relative of yours. I don't know who I'm speaking to, because y'all saw how that channel just came through. But though she could have loved roses, could have had a fear, but may not have showed you of thunder and lightning. Or this is something that she taught you to love because she loved it. Now, Sailor Jupiter, she controls, from what I can see, lightning, right? Um, which, even though I know that, she's a palm colored child in the show, she reminds me in some ways of Oya, um, which you may have a connection to. But though the thing about Sailor Jupiter is she's fearless and courageous, um, but she's also very soft and sweet, and um, she gave homemaker vibes. She cooks very well. She knows how to sew. In one of the episodes, matter of fact, in the episode where she was introduced, um, she mentioned to Usagi, or Serena, aka Sailor Moon. She mentioned to her how she made sewn some items together that matched something else that she had, with like roses on it. And it was very interesting because the more that I watched, I was like, oh yeah, she's completely a freaking Taurus. Um, but her strength, um, and her willingness to keep fighting even in the face of adversity. This may be a quality of yours. this year that will be very important, and especially for some of you over the next 28 days within this moon cycle, will be very important. This may be something that um, you help other people build within themselves. Um, some of you could be life coaches, or you may have a particular area of life that is your specialty or will be. Um, for others of you, I picked up on um, Sailor Venus energy. Sailor Venus may resonate with your spirit a little bit more, or it could just be right now. Um, I kind of felt like watching Sailor Moon, each of us has each one of the Sailor Guardians in us, right? Everybody has been clumsy before, has lost themselves and forgotten who the heck they were, like Sailor Moon, but quickly found out or eventually remembered. Um, Everyone has at some point in time isolated themselves or been in a position where spirit has isolated them and separated them until it was time to be around the appropriate or aligned people like Sailor Mars. Um, some of us are the geeks, the intellectuals that help make the world go around, like Sailor Mercury. Some of us are the chefs and the Susie homemakers, and yet still the rough and tumble I beat your ass type, like Sailor Jupiter. And then some of us are the secret warriors of justice and love, like Sailor Venus. And I just saw 27. So 2 and 7, 7 and 2, or the variation of it may be significant to you. I just saw 717 as well. And 2023 is a 7 year. So these numbers may have significance to you. But it was interesting how throughout the first season, you're watching Sailor Moon just live and become Sailor Moon for one. You watch the origin story, like as it happens, and I think that's very interesting. Meanwhile, Sailor Venus had um, she was really the first one to awaken of all of the sailor soldiers, and it was interesting because her and Artemis, which is her white cat, to Sailor Moon's black cat. And Artemis is also a male, which, as I remember, Artemis and Luna, they were each other's sacred mates. And that was another thing that I picked up in Sailor Moon was sacred mates and past lives, and how even past lives can affect our current ones. And that brings me to the point of Sailor Venus, where for a short time, she and Artemis had to deceive Sailor Moon and the rest of the Sailor soldiers to protect her until she completely, or they rather completely, awakened. And it was interesting because I'm just thinking about how life is right now, how a lot of us are waking up um, to who we are, to the world around us, to seeing the matrix for what it really is and escaping it. Um, Seeing this world for what it is and what it ain't. And it is interesting to me as well that a lot of, if you pay attention to a lot of the shows that we grew up watching, like Sailor Moon and shoot, even like other anime shows like Inuyasha and what else? I mean, hell, even Twilight, a lot of the Harry Potter, like honestly, if you are a spiritualist now, and I feel like y'all gonna understand what I say when I say this. A lot of our spiritual guides, our ancestors, God, the divine, the universe, however you want to label it, they really kept their hands on us when they kept all of these like themes that would reappear later on in our life in front of us. How crystals were so crystals and the planets were so important in certain TV shows that a lot of us love. And trust me, if you watch Sailor Moon as a little girl or boy, right now, you're possibly a spiritualist. I'd be almost willing to bet it. Or have some interest in the spiritual world. So it's interesting to me. But those were my thoughts. That was my channel message for the full moon. Oh, but though, I did pull some cards. So before I go, y'all, let's run through these cards real quick. Because the cards were interesting too. So first out was the Magician card. The next out was the Nine of Wands, the Hermit card. Underneath the Magician was the Five of Swords, the Death card, and the Seven of Wands, which I also found interesting too, considering that I was watching that first season and what all happened in the first season. I won't be a complete spoiler, so I ain't gonna tell you. But it is interesting because I feel like a lot of you are in a space right now where you are manifesting, where you are doing your best to create the life that you really desire and deserve. Um, I feel like a lot of you in the past may have had a lot of self-sabotaging energy with the Five of Swords. Um, you may have been abused or bullied, intimidated, um, or have had or been a part of crimes even. And I feel like you're in a space now where you're trying to rebuild yourself, redeem yourself even. Um, for some of you, I feel like recover from the pain that just life has, you know, oh, quote unquote giving you, or I heard for some of you awarded you. I know you're like, side eye, what you mean awarded you? I feel like what that means is that you needed to go through the pain that you have gone through, especially up until this point. And I'm not saying that the pain is completely over, right? Because there may still be some things in your lifetime moving forward that will hurt you, obviously. But I do feel like in the space that you are in now, and I'm seeing Chiron here, so you may have a Chiron in possibly Virgo, Sagittarius, um, or even one of the water signs, possibly even Leo, Scorpio, or for some of you, Aquarius. Some of you may have a Pluto in Scorpio, a Venus in Aquarius, Mars in Jupiter as well. moon in Sagittarius. But I do feel like you may have been in this space of hurt and pain so that when you recovered, the lessons that you received from the pain and the recovery, I'm hearing, will serve you and others well, is what I'm hearing. For some of you, you may become a spiritual teacher or you are a spiritual teacher. And part of your teachings may be helping people do exactly that, which is rebuilding themselves, or you may be the assistant like a doula is in birth, with a mother birthing a child. And that's not to say that you're necessarily birthing a child, but in some ways you are, because you are birthing yourself all over again. Especially for some of you, I feel like this year you're being reborn, especially with the death card here. I feel like in a lot of ways, spirit may have had to break you down to build you up. Um, Chemo just came to me. Um, so some of you may be experiencing or know someone who is experiencing chemo, um, where they may have had to have their, immune system broken down to receive some level of healing. Um, some of you may be, if you know someone who is experiencing cancer, they may be denying chemo and maybe going a more holistic or homeopathic route, which I do feel like will be successful. Um, because I have the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, so I do feel like this person is protected with the Seven of Wands, even though this is a journey that in some ways they have to go at alone with the Hermit card. Um, they're still going to make it out of this and have a long life with the Ten of Pentacles. They're going to have um, longevity. For some of you, this may be a family member. Um, this could even be you, and you're wondering if you're going to live long enough to have a family of your own. You will. Um, I feel like this is, like I said before, a journey that you're kind of, while you're taking it with people. Um, some of you have a substantial amount of support, while others of you, I'm hearing, have your chosen few. Even if they're spirits chosen few, right? To be around you at this time. Some of you are coming out of a space where spirit may have needed to hide you from not only possibly physical warfare in some way, but also spiritual warfare. Spirit may have removed certain people from your life recently, or will, or this has happened already. You may be the person who's being removed from other people's lives, and it may not necessarily be that you're a bad person, or they're a bad person, but the alignment may be off, where you're in a space now where you two aren't necessarily good for each other. It's not necessarily that you're not good, but you're just not good for each other. You're not in a good space. So ultimately you will be, I guess, yeah, you would still be bad for each other in a way, but yeah, I hope y'all are getting what I'm saying with that. But anyway, um, for others of you, you're learning to stand your ground in this space where you're being separated is because you need to be. Um, for some of you with the Ten of Pentacles, you're going to receive a substantial amount of wealth. For some of you, this could be an inheritance of some kind. Um, that is being protected for you. You may not even know that it even exists, but spirit is about to bring you from the spiritual realm to the physical realm for you. A lot of you make sure that you believe in your magic. Um, without belief in it, everything. Well, I ain't gonna say. I won't say that. I won't say that. Okay, so I'll give you an example. So a scientist some years back did an experiment, and in one jar, um, he put water and rice, and in another jar he put water and rice. Nothing was different, right? The only difference was how he spoke to each individual jar of rice, because water holds memory, right? So one jar he would speak negative things, horrible things, right? And in the other jar he would speak positive, beautiful things. And he noticed after so long, and you can look this up, so I might not be quoting it the correct way, but I'm quoting it how I recall it, right? Um, the jar that he spoke negatively to, he noticed that the rice and the water began to smell and rot and go rancid. Versus the other jar with the water of rice looked like the first day he set it up there. So just be mindful. Again, goes back to that message in the beginning, not to self-sabotage, um, and not to surrender to defeat when it comes to your negative self-talk. Remember that you are the first person who hears the words that you speak. Um, be mindful of that. Be mindful of what you're speaking, not only to yourself, but to others. So that is my time, Royal Gang. I hope you got a message out of here that resonates for you. If you would like to book a reading with me, if you're viewing this from YouTube, the link is in the description box. You can also visit my About section, or my community board to check on any specials and to also get connected with me on Instagram and on my other social sites. You can now check me out on TikTok as well. So visit me on there at Hoodoo Prayers and Tarot. Some call me Blue, some call me Neff. Is my nickname on there. So this is, I would say this is a good reading. Also, 1920 might be its significance. I believe that is the founding year for Zeta Phi Beta. Also, I have the Sun card and the Judgment card here. I feel like whatever is on your heart right now or on your mind right now is going to work out in your favor. Um, or at least it's going to be something that's going to work out and you'll be happy about. Also, some of you may find out within the next 19 to 20 days that you are pregnant or someone around you is pregnant or expecting a baby. For some of you, you can have a 19 or 20-year-old who will be having a baby soon. For some of you, it could even be today. This baby could be born today. Sunflowers may be significant as well. Um, for some of you, as well as Archangel Michael and Archangel Gabriel. And the numbers 3, 4, 5 may be significant as well. So I don't know if y'all want to play that in the lottery or whatever. And I'm also hearing 3, 4, 5, 6. So that could be of significance. I'm also seeing 1322. I don't know, y'all. But anyway, so book with me if you need a reading. I still have many 2023 uh, messages. So I have $20 for a mini message, 33 for a full message. That is not including the fact that I do have a 2023 yearly preview. We can do 6 months for $80 or the entire year for $120. So that is a great value of $10 a month for the entire year. You will get a video link for your forecast that will be sent from YouTube to your inbox. Just make sure that one payment is received prior to booking, and that you do confirm with me and me only before I don't know what I was about to say. Oh, but before you book with me, make sure that it is me. Because scammers can be out here. I don't think I have any right now, but I have been known to have some in the past. So, I'll holla at you, Royal Gang, and I hope you like the little flower situation thing that I got going on here. I tried to show y'all my little moon pumpkin here because I kind of thought it had significance or whatever, but it is what it is. We out, Royal Gang. Have a good one. Good night.